All right, welcome to the newest episode of Train of Thought. I am your host, your conductor, Alex Dumas, chugga chugga, lovey, all that good stuff. And I'm joined here with Kurt Powers, and we're going to have a Powers full conversation. You see what I did there? Doo-doo-doo. We're going to have an awesome conversation and see where we go and serve as powerfully as possible. So, Kurt, welcome to this train ride of sorts, and appreciate you for being here in this moment.
Well, Alex, thank you very much for having me. I'm really actually looking forward to this. I'm excited.
Awesome. So we spoke a little bit, but I'd love to give you an opportunity right now for you just kind of tell folks who you are and like best ways to connect with you, so we kind of get that out up front
Sure.
and open.
So my name is Kurt Powers. I host a podcast called The Powers Project. You can also find me on YouTube, where I post the visual part of the podcast, obviously, on there. And so that's the best place. Or you can go to my website, thepowersproject.com. You can find all the episodes on there. And there's a little bio that tells you a little bit about myself. And I've been a personal trainer for over 35 years and just decided to transition into something new. And that's where I'm at.
Awesome, wonderful, man. Thank you. So, in terms of our conversation today, what's on your mind? Like, what would be useful for and I to talk about?
Well, here's something. You had me look at a gentleman by the name of Robert Holden,
Yeah,
who spoke about uh, his the challenges that he had. That he always felt like he was 3 days behind
yeah.
all the time. And I
And
couldn't.
just to cut you off real quick, for those folks who don't know, this is a TED Talk from Robert Holden called Destination Addiction. So highly recommended. That's usually what I send out to people to watch beforehand. But go on. Yeah.
So I couldn't relate. So simply because I've never had destination addiction, I've never felt 3 days behind because I very much live in the present. And I think that's why I'm always happy. Like I'm one of those people find annoying because I'm seldom ever down, but I really am truly happy because I live in the present and because I'm always happy with what I have. I don't have this desire to, like, I don't need material things to make me happier. That won't do that. And I realized that at a very young age. The challenges I did have, though, noticing what his challenges were, is mine are the exact opposite of his. And mine is because when you live in the present, there's no real urgency. And so you don't get as much accomplished because you don't have that urgency. And that's something I need because here's the thing. When you live the way I do, you know, I'm in I don't want to say great shape yet because I'm not in great shape right now. I'm in pretty good shape considering everything I've been through lately, but I'm in pretty good shape. And so I maintain that shape. And so I'm always constantly acting. I'm active. I lift weights. I ride bikes. I play sports. I do all those things. And so I never feel my age, and in fact, it's very hard for me sometimes to even believe I'm the age that I am. And so therefore I think I have more time than I really do probably. The only way that I've recently come to understand, hey, you don't have as much time as you think, is I look at my kids and they're at the age that I think I'm at. so, and so I was like, when I was in high school and college, I I did well enough. I don't want to say I did my best work because I don't think that's true, but I did well enough to when I would cram for things and I could always get the job done. And so the the good part about high school and college is that you had to cram. If you weren't going to do it properly and do it over the time that was given to you, and you were going to cram at the last moment, you still had to do that because if you did, there were consequences for not doing it. Which would be
Right.
failed the course. Outside of that, now if I don't have a reason to cram because even if I set myself a deadline, if I don't make that deadline, it's like, oh well, I didn't make it. There's no consequences to it. And so all these things promote procrastination. And so that's where I find myself. I have a course that I've created called Only the Love That You Can Give. And it's showing people how to love themselves. And so right now, that's what I'm working on. Now, if I had any urgency, or if I was like Mr. Holden, I probably would have had that thing done a long time ago. But as is, I'm taking my sweet time. And so I think that's where I could use, a great deal of help.
Yeah. 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 First of all, I appreciate you just bringing that to the table and expressing it and sharing that with me and whoever's going to watch this. So thank you for that. And it's to get, I guess, more clarity on it or a better picture. Like, tell me more about urgency for you in your world. Like, what do you see being possible operating from a little bit more urgency, as you call it, as you said it?
See, I don't have urgency for anything. That's the thing. That's the thing that here's what something I'll add. Because I'm happy, I can be content. And I hate that word content because I don't like being content. I like wanting to push more because I like challenging myself.
Mhm.
I tend to do that with other areas of my life. Like if I'm lifting, I always push myself. I always want to do more reps, more weight, more sets, or something. I'm always gauging myself and trying to improve myself. When it comes to things that aren't pertaining to sports, such as creating a course, I don't use that same push, to do better, to say, okay, I'm going to get this many, modules done in a month or something like that. And even if I do it, I don't get upset if I don't make it. And I need to be able to transition the way I operate with sports and transition that into other areas of my life.
Mm. Well, what would be the big difference? I mean, obviously you said like this example, hey, the course will be done, but like what do you see being created from, hey, if I operate a little bit more on this urgency side, or at least invite that in, welcome that into my life. Not to say that anything's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with being happy, content, as you put it. But if you move at a bit of a higher speed, like what do you see for yourself?
Well, what I see is like my whole life has been, everything that I've done is to help other people. And I don't want to sound, oh, like I'm a saint. I'm not. you know, I mean, the reason I do it is because I feel good when I do things for other people. So if I didn't feel good, I probably wouldn't do it. But doing personal training for the years that I have and helping people become healthy and fit and watching them change and transform their bodies and their lives, that brings me a great deal of pleasure. And so that's why I've enjoyed it all these years. And I know that when I get this course done, the same thing will happen. I know that this will transform people's lives. And so I think about it and I go, if you get this course done, you could start helping people who need this, who desperately want this, and you just need to get your butt in gear and do it. And not to mention, I mean, obviously it would bring in an income for me that I currently don't have, or because again, I've never been driven by money, so that's not a good motivator for me. And so but I do want to help people with learning how to love themselves and showing them how to do that step by step, because once they learn to love themselves, then the relationships they have with everyone and everything else will get better as well. And it really does transform a person's life. And so you would think that would be enough to drive me to do it, and yet it hasn't been.
Yeah, yeah. And then I see that you're purpose filled, right? Like the profits, yeah, they'll come, but that's not the end all be all for you. It's not
Right.
the primary driver. So my thought is, what's getting in the way? Like, what's stopping this dream from being a real thing?
Okay, so here's my thought on it. When I was a kid, um, growing up, I was we my family ended up moving into the projects at one time. And I remember being the one who opened the door to the apartment that we were going to live in this project. I opened the door and I couldn't have been but 12 years old. And I remember my heart sank down into my stomach when I saw the inside of this place. And I could not believe I was going to live here. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't ever want to be in a situation where I ever have to live like this. And somewhere along the line, it came out to my father that, I wanted better. And he was upset. He was upset at me. Like, what, do you think you're too good for this? And I was thinking to myself, yes, I do actually. Now, I didn't say that to him, obviously, because I'm sure I would have got a backhand or something that, if we're hurting his feelings. But I remember thinking, yeah, I don't ever want to be in this situation. So throughout my life, I've reached certain levels of success. The most I've reached is six figures, but I didn't maintain that for a very long time. Now, that's far more money than my father ever made. But I remember all his negative programming as a kid. What do you think? Money grows on trees, things of that
Yeah.
nature. That I almost feel guilty, I think, from this programming I got as a kid for being successful. And I almost feel like if I do this course and it becomes wildly successful, which I believe it will, I'll feel like, oh no, my father's going to be mad, even though he's not alive. But that's how your subconscious programming works. And so I think that may be the trigger that's preventing me from moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah. I can feel the heaviness of it. I'm just checking with you, like, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, it feels, yeah, just like you said, it feels heavy. And again, here's the thing: on a conscious level, you realize, well, that's silly. You shouldn't let that hold you back. And since I'm a hypnotherapist, I certainly know that you shouldn't let that hold you back. And yet I haven't, I've done things for clients of mine over the years that have stopped, everything from overcoming fear to quit smoking to losing weight, and helped them through, throughout their lives with that sort of thing. And yet I haven't done it for myself. And I go, okay, why haven't I done self hypnosis and giving myself suggestions to overcome this old programming? And it's almost like I don't know why. I can't answer it.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience with any kind of deep-seated challenge or resistance, it's not fun,
Right.
right? To explore that. That's a door that is like, oh, that's the door in my mind that has chains on it. It's got all the locks. Like, I don't want to go near that door. But what I found is if I make peace with it, not make it wrong, not judge it, not hold resentment toward it, it doesn't become as scary as I think it is. And this is whether it's true for you or not. And I kind of think to myself right now, if your dad was here, right? If you had an opportunity to talk with him and kind of chop it up and express to him like, hey, this is my idea for my course. This is what I want to do. This is what I believe is going to be of service to so many people out there. If he knew that about how you felt, what you just expressed to me of what you want to do and your purpose and this drive you have, what do you think his response would be about that?
That is a great question and a great point. I'm going to tell you something. You just made me realize something that I had never realized before. That is that his response would be negative. Here's a guy who didn't he dropped out of school like seventh grade, I believe it was.
Mhm.
And so he's a very insecure man. So he never, like, how fathers and or mothers, and they want their kids to do better. My
Yeah.
father didn't. He didn't want us to do better because he didn't want us to, what he would have felt like showing him up, because he was very insecure. So if I were to tell him that I have this course that I think could help people and it would, make a great deal of money, he would probably say everything he could to shoot me down, to stop me from doing it. Going, oh, that's not going to, you think you know everything. That's not going to succeed. No one
Right.
wants to hear that nonsense, that sort of thing. And so you just made me realize that's probably why I haven't done something about this yet, because I know he would still, if he were alive, he would still not be okay with it.
Yeah. And there's the other side of that, right? The people, the people that can be helped, the people that you can be serving. From your experience at what you've done with your personal training with hypnotherapy, what have those reactions been like from clients, that people you've helped?
Oh, they've been like, I still receive, you know, messages or cards or phone calls and stuff from them years later, and just thanking me out of the blue. Like they'll say, oh, something happened that jarred their memory and made them think of me, and they wanted to call me and say thank you again because that one woman who couldn't have children now can have children because she was so obese, and it was her child's birthday or something, which made her think about the fact that she couldn't have children before, and it made her think about coming to me, and all that stuff. So and so it's such, again, you know money aside, that's all the reward I really like. I love that more than anything. Like that's something I would do for free. Just, like even
Yeah,
my podcast. I love what I do, and it doesn't matter if I made a dime off of it. I'd want to do it because I love it.
yeah. What do you see impossible with this? Like, you love doing this,
Hmm.
and yet we have this brick in the way.
Yeah. Hmm. And I'm telling you, I really believe it comes down to the money part, because even when I started my personal training business, I was making more an hour than my father could ever imagine,
Yeah.
in his lifetime. And yeah, I was able to. It took me a little while to get there. It's like, as
Yeah.
especially when you're as old as I am, and your first job paid you less than $2 an hour, so you had to work your way up the ladder. And I remember the first time I made $10 an hour. I remember the first time I made $20 an hour. I remember the first time I made $50 an hour, and I was thinking, "Oh my God, I'm rich."
White Castle's on me, everybody.
Exactly. But I had never made that kind of money, and I didn't know anybody who had. And so when I started getting up past $50 an hour, I'm thinking, oh, this is lawyer money now. I'm starting to make. And so I I started feeling, I don't want to say guilt, but something wanted to say, don't do any more than what you're doing, because if you do, you're going to stick out and your dad's going to disapprove, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. And because I never let him know how much money I made ever, because I'm sure he would, because I didn't want to hear any negativity. That was the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So with this kind of awakening of sorts, revelation to yourself, what do you want to do about it?
I want to overcome it, and I want to be held accountable for what I do or don't do. Like, I want to, it's sort of like, one of the greatest things about having a personal trainer is that you're accountable to that person that you hired. If you don't
Right.
show up for your session, he still gets your money. so, so you're like, I'm going to show up. At least that's what most people do. um, so they don't want to just throw that kind of money away. And so they're held accountable, and that's what makes them show up. That's what makes them, eat properly and exercise and do all the things they need to do. Because when they come see me and all of a sudden they've gained 2 pounds instead of
Mhm.
losing 2 pounds, I go, all right, what's going on? So,
Yeah, it's the proof of it, right? There's no
right.
hiding it. The scale doesn't lie
It
in
does
many
not.
cases. Yeah. I had a thought as you were saying this, and this is going to kind of sound funny, but let's play with it for a minute.
Okay.
What if you fired your dad?
Mm,
Because right now he's your trainer of resistance, right? And he's been doing a great job. He's not even here anymore, and he's still getting
right.
checks.
That's a great, you know what? I've used that before. Why did I not think of that? See, Alex, I'm glad I talked to you today. I should have fired his butt a long time. I like that, but that works. You're absolutely right. That would work, I think.
It's just a possibility, and it's not a quick fix type of deal because this has been something that's lingered in your heart, in your mind for a long time. My only objective is like, what if we could play with it? What if we could just make it loosen up the grip of it a little bit? Because just talking to you, knowing a little bit about you, and getting a good sense that what people can really use what you have to say. You have a voice that's worth hearing, and this mosquito in your brain of your father's words and his disapproval. Yeah, it's what we want as sons, right? We want our fathers to approve us. We
Right.
crave that. That's probably the number one thing we look for. But at some point, we leave the nest, we go on and we make our own family. I want you to consider this. The story you told me about that woman, you literally helped, you weren't part of it, but you helped give birth to somebody else. Like, really think about that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you do this too. With all the people you help, you don't really think like you go, yeah, I might have had a part of it, but you don't really think a whole lot
Right.
about it, like you don't give yourself as much credit as maybe you should. And so while I know I've helped a lot of people throughout the years, I don't, I think because I loved what I did, I'd never think of it as anything other than, oh, it's just what I do sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and you don't think of it as being any miracle or any great wonder. You just, just doing your job.
Yeah. There's a term that somebody blessed me with, and this is not an attack on you, but it's the sense of false humility, right? It's like, gee, golly gosh, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
okay. And it's like, man, what if we just amplified that a little bit of,
right.
you know what? Yeah, I am this. I do help people in this way. I do serve powerfully. And these things are all true. It's not you manufacturing it. It's not Kurt in his room like, well, let me tell people how awesome I am because no, you already have the evidence. Years of
Right.
work, years of service.
I think I fall more into because I don't have false humility. I can promise you, and every one of my friends will tell you, yeah, he doesn't have that. So what I have is I believe that I think the reason why I think about it that way is because I go, there are so many other people out there like me who do what I do that can do it as well as I do. And so I don't see it as something necessarily special. It's not like I can heal the sick, so lay my hands on somebody and go healed. Yeah, that would be something special because I
Well,
don't know.
in this case, you did. This
Yeah,
woman
yeah,
transformed her body and her mind and her energy to producing a life. Like,
right.
whoa, that's that sounds like sick healing to me. That kind of checks that box.
Yeah, and I guess I should look at it that way. And yet, again, I don't, I have some humility, but I hate people who feign humility because it's just so, disingenuous.
Yeah.
And so I do my best not to do that. I don't think I do that. So, in fact, I tell myself or tell people I'm a genius all the time. So,
You and Kanye are gonna have a fight over
yeah,
who's who's the greater genius in this.
right. That would be fun.
So, getting back on track, right? Of course, here we are, Dad, releasing his grip on you. Like, what do you see as one step, like one tiny thing? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It's not gonna be cleaned up in one day.
Right.
But what's one thing?
You might be able to help with this, Alex, because this is again, you have me thinking about things I've never thought about before because I've never really discussed this with anybody. And I think that's might be part of my challenge is that because I haven't discussed it with anyone, I've always left it up to me to figure this out on my own.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think the reason why he has such a grip on me is because one, I was the oldest, and two, I was never the son that he wanted. I was him and I were exact opposites. He felt threatened by me because he was a truck driver, so he'd be gone for a month, 2 months at a time.
Right.
We had 6 kids. I was the oldest. I raised those kids, and so when he would come home, he would tell the kids to do something. They weren't listening to him because they didn't know, like, who are you? And so
Yeah.
my dad would say something, they wouldn't listen. So I would tell them, and they would go do what I told them to do. And he goes, I'll take care of that. And I was like, okay, I'm just trying to help out. It's like, I don't want this. I remember being 10 years old. I'm like, I don't want this, responsibility, but it's enforced on me. So, but with that, with feeling threatened by me and not being the kind of son that he wanted, because I didn't get into the things he got into, he didn't get into the things I got into. And so I was certainly, my brother, on the other hand, they were like two peas in a pod. So I always kind of felt left out. And so, like you said, I was always looking for my father's approval because my brother got it, I didn't get it. So,
Yeah.
you know, so I think that might be why there's that hold on it that's even tighter than probably should be.
Yeah. And thank you for clarifying that and bringing that to light. And what it makes me think of now is it's not coming ever.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. So what do we do?
Yeah. Who do you get to be now? You know it's not coming. Never will, never has been. And it doesn't make it less painful, right?
Right.
It's a sore spot, but it's also what I call a beautiful place of clarity. There's yes and there's no. There's he loves me, not so much. All right, you don't love me. At least not the way that I would want him to. And
Right.
that's now me judging it. He doesn't love me the way I want to, so he's wrong. Well, he just loves the way he loves.
Right.
What if that's a possibility? And now is this other possibility? It's never coming. Now what do I get to create from that? Who do I get to be in the world?
And I think it's it's my need to let go because when he passed away a few years ago, I didn't go to the funeral, and my sister desperately tried to talk to me to said, well, listen, you don't want to have any regrets. And I go, I promise you I don't have any. I go, I don't hate him because I don't. I felt bad for him because he only knew what he knew and he didn't want to know anything other than that. So
Mm,
he's a product of his own childhood, his the way he was raised, that's what he became. And it's very easy for us to fall into that and become just like our parents. But usually as we get older, we become wiser and go, my parents did some things right and they did some things wrong. So how about if I do more of the right things they did and do less of the wrong things and not just go, well, I'm just like my dad, sort of thing. So yeah, accepting, because, and I think that's important that, that I don't know if I've accepted that. I understand it. I don't know if I've ever accepted the fact, yeah, it's never coming, and it never was going to come. So,
yeah.
interesting, Alex. Very interesting.
Yeah, what are you thinking right now? I see a moment in your eyes like I see you scanning the universe right now, scanning possibility.
Yeah, I'm thinking, have I ever accepted the fact that I was never going to get that love, or am I still like in my subconscious mind? Do I, as a kid, do I still think, oh, if I do this, he'll love me. And so maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe that's the step I need to take is accepting the fact I was never going to get that love that I wanted, and go, well, it is what it is. So, and because again, I don't hate him, and I'm not gonna, and I don't hold him responsible for anything that I do or don't do, because it ultimately comes down to me, and it's my responsibility to take, control of my life and do what I'm going to do with it. So so if I'm not going to blame him for it, then I should just let go of that and accept the fact that it is what it is.
Yeah, can I invite you to consider this possibility of how our words create our world, right? And I always look for these little fun buzzwords like should, need, have to. They, on the audible side, they sound motivating to ourselves. Like, no, I should be doing this. I should be in the gym. I should be eating right. I should be doing this. What I've found from my experiences, anything I should be doing is removing power from me. Oh, I should be doing this. Now I'm less than. Oh, I'm an idiot, Alex. I should be doing this. You better. You gotta just come on, suck it up. Get to it, champ. But I have to. I should. You know what I mean? It's like I can physiologically feel it. Like, hey, Chris, did you work today? Yeah, I didn't, but I should be.
Right.
Like air coming out of the tires. So the thought is, hey, what if I get to release him? I just get to let him go, let his grip go, or me let go of holding on to like that little piece of like a shirt, like as a kid. It's like, take me along, Dad, take me along, Mom. Just gentle release and forgiveness. And it's a practice. It's not a one-stop shop like, all right, well, I don't hold a grudge against Dad. I'm good now. Everything's healed. Perfect. Doo-doo-doo. It's a constant. Anytime those thoughts come in, man, I should be doing this. Oh, Dad wouldn't like this. Like, hold on. I serve people. I help people. I make a difference in the world. Like, what are you hearing from all that?
So what I'm hearing is exactly what I need to be hearing. I'm really glad I'm having this discussion with you, because again, talking to myself, I can solve most of the problems, but this is like I can listen to other people's problems and solve their problems in a heartbeat. Listen to my own it's a little longer.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
it's our frequency, man. It's our frequency's like, no, I can't hear that. Like, not
right.
fully.
So while I know that no one or nothing has power over you that you don't allow to have power over you. And so, in hearing you, I just realized again, and this should be obvious to me, but it wasn't, is that I'm giving him power over me, and I can take that power away from him, and should have taken it away from me as I've done other things in my life. And I never thought about him having power over me, but that's exactly what it is. And so you're right. I can take that power back, and will take that power back to where it's it doesn't have a hold on me any longer.
What'll be different in your life with that power back in your hands?
A lot. I will accomplish the things that I've been meaning to get done, and affecting the world in a way, because again, and it's not like I'm ancient, but I'm not 20 anymore either. So,
You're like
I
21. You're like 22-ish.
exactly. So I know that we're all going to leave this earth someday, and as I would like to leave a legacy that was as positive as I could possibly be, and help as many people as I could. I want, it used. I remember when I was helping this gentleman, and he was always about being big and strong and tough and everything. And I said, you got two little girls. I said, when the day comes and you leave this earth, I said, how do you want them to remember you? As a big, tough, strong guy, or as a loving father? And he said, as a loving father. And I go, then quit worrying about being big and tough all the time. And that's what I need to do. I need to focus on, giving the love to people that I want to give to them. So that's how they remember me. That's how I want to be remembered. I don't want to be remembered as, you know, the tough guy or the big guy or the strong guy or any of that nonsense. I want to be remembered as somebody who cared and wanted to give back to people.
Yeah, I felt that. So here's the magic question now. What are you committed to doing to being powerful? And I don't mean commitment from a heavy place, like, I gotta do this. It's just like,
Right.
hey, it's a daily practice.
Right. I think because I've done this most of my life with other things, it probably won't take me like it does some people. It will take some time to get through this. I tend to once I make a decision, I go with that. Like I'm all 100% behind it. So when I say that I take the power back from my father, it's not going to be gradual. It'll be like today. It's like because again, even though it should be obvious, until you and I just talked, it hurts in me. So I'm like, you're absolutely right about these things. I can fire him, I can take the power away from him, and it's all mine now. And now it doesn't matter how much money I make. And I'm already in, I don't want to say like, I don't want it to sound ridiculous, but I'm almost like I'm feeling that right now just from talking to you. I feel like this burden's been lifted off of my shoulders.
Yeah, I can feel it. I can see it. Like,
Yeah, I feel better already, and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't expect that from this.
yeah, it's a fun ride. I think the next thing that's in my head is, when's this course coming out now?
Yeah,
Like, let's set a date. If that makes sense to you, if that serves you, because
yeah, it
that's
does.
where my mind goes, like instant action. Like, hey, you have power back. You are not just big, tough, strong Kurt, but you're loving, serving, thoughtful Kurt as well.
So let's say it's the middle of April. I would say 2 to 3 months. I should have everything completed and up, and not just up and I mean like have it out there to the public by that
Yeah,
time.
beautiful. I know you're man your word, and you don't
Yes,
need me to hold you accountable in anything, but when it is ready, will you please share with me so I can share it with the world?
absolutely. In fact, what I'm going to do is today is what, the 19th. So let's see. Let's just go with July 19th. And what I'm going to do is report back to you because you are the one who helped me. um, okay. So I have it down for July 19th that I'm going to report back to you on not just the progress, but where, where you can find my course, how to find my course,
Yeah,
and all that good.
absolutely. Yes. I love it, man, because that's what it's all about. That's the game I love to play with people. Like, let's take it out of here. Let's get off of Someday Island. Let's get right onto Now Island, right? And and
Right.
it's kind of a thing side by side with Robert Holden's thing, the destination addiction. Like trying to get somewhere 3 days late, 2 days late. Like, no, let's just like let's be right here. And now we have a target, and every day now you get to live into that. Every day, working on your modules or spreading the word, whatever it is that you have to do. But now that's the purpose. You get to embody that. You get to be that and help people. That's pretty cool in my book.
Yeah. I do. I enjoy it and I love it. But you must know how I feel because what you just did, again, for me, has been something I've been struggling with, I guess, for years. And so again, if I'd known it been this easy just by talking about it, like, what are you doing, Alex? I could have used you a few years ago.
Well, as I tell anybody else, it takes two to tango. It took you
Right.
going into this place, going to that locked room, right?
Right.
I can't do what I do if you're not here with me. So I appreciate you. I love and honor and accept you and acknowledge you for recognizing that, hey, there's a brick I'm carrying, and it on paper, it's like, oh, it's a small little brick. No, I'm holding this rock right now in my hand. But in our hearts, in our ways of being, that is like an anchor. That is
Yeah.
preventing a lot of things from a lot of magic from being expressed into the world.
I have to tell you quite honestly, when we had talked about me coming on,
Yeah,
I've met a lot of mentors and self-help gurus, and they all have these pat answers for everything, and it's very seldom is it thought out and is it personal. What you just did today with me is is something that you have to know what you're doing to be able to break it down into each person that you speak with, because my personal experiences are going to be different with other people that you speak with. And
yeah.
so for you to be able to come up with these ideas, these concepts, um, shows just how you know how well you are in doing what you do. So how good you are.
Appreciate it. Received in full.
Seriously, I can tell you honestly, like I just go, wow, all this like it makes you seem, it makes me feel silly that all the years I went through this, here you come out and go, what about this? What about this? And I'm like, holy crap.
It's all good, you know. It's I heard this in a training years ago about our minds, like how our emotional size is the size of a pea, but yet it's that small little pea that is operating and controlling so much of us. And not to say everything needs to be rational, but man, how do we just make peace with that thing? Make peace with the pea. How do we just not judge it, not make it wrong, but also not make ourselves wrong? And it's a constant game I play with myself too. It's a game of forgiveness and lack of judgment and just and being open to possibilities. And that's all I wanted to do with us today. Just open up a possibility of what will your life look like doing the things you want to do and being who you want to be.
I'm going to tell you, the life I see when I get this course out is going to, it's going to add so much value to my life, because even though, like I said, I always tend to be happy, when I see people in a greater number, like that's one of the things about personal training. You help one person at a time. And
Yeah.
so while you experience this, this euphoria for helping people, and just feeling like this is so cool that I somehow helped this person and transform their life, you're only doing it to one individual. And so I want to hit the masses. I want to help, like I want to know what it feels like to be Tony Robbins, to help all these people at one time, to where they just, where you can see that they're grateful for what you do because of the change that they made. Again, like with you, if you took this, if you took what you do and you went to the masses with this, the number of people you could help at once instead of just one at a time would just make you fill you with so much joy that you wouldn't know what to do with yourself, I think. So
In a sense, it does already. I do that because right now, the work we just done together, you're going back into your world, a different Kurt. How many people are you going to be able to touch, do that? How many people in your family, your community, are you going to be able to, who are going to kind of do a double take, like something's different? Like your shoulders are a little bit straighter, your posture's up, like you're speaking with some authority here, or a different sense of it. Like they won't be able to articulate it, but like they'll feel it. The energy's like
right.
something's up with Kurt. Is he okay? Like what's going on? Did he like do a sauna or something like that? Did he go into an ice bath? Like he's looking renewed and refreshed.
There's a lightness that's what I feel like a lightness to me, like weight's been lifted off my shoulders after talking to you in such a short period of time. Amazing.
Yeah. So I appreciate you, Kurt. I mean, I think at this moment we're complete. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to beat the
Yeah,
dead horse.
Listen, if you're that good and you can do it that fast, there's no sense in.
Yeah. So I think right here, whoop whoop,
Yep.
all of we've come to this stop, and it's a beautiful place. I really appreciate you, appreciate what you're gonna bring into this world. And yeah, 719, I can't wait to hear from you because I'm gonna be your biggest champion cheerleader, shouting this out to the world like, hey, you have to go to this website or go connect with him or find out about him because this is the real deal. This is what's happening. And it's not for any gain for me. Similar to you, I want to just give and share and help people out. That's what I do. I have fun. I help people. Simple
Well,
as that.
I would definitely tell people if they're wondering what's holding them back from being happy and reaching their goals and living the life they want, I would certainly send people to you and go. Now, it might be kind of fast. It might be you might go, yeah, like, I can't believe that happened that quickly.
Oh man.
So, yeah, I really, honestly, I really appreciate this. I was not seriously expecting answers like I just got from you today, and basically an epiphany because of what you said and how you said it.
Received. Thank you. So for you who are watching right now, tune in next month. We're gonna play. We'll keep creating. Have more fun. Chugga chugga. Love you.